Hey guys, just wanted to talk a little bit today about the prison intake, what that means, what it entails, and some of the stuff that you have to go through while you're being processed into the prison you end up at. For me, I come from the county jail and spent almost a year there waiting to go through the whole court process. After being arrested, I didn't bail out or bond out. I ended up sticking around because I knew I was going to serve some time and I might as well just get it started right there. So for me, I spent nearly a year in the county jail, and then after I got my time, I was taken with whoever else was in the county jail that had gotten their time as well. The prison bus will come pick you up and take you off to a massive building where everyone coming from all the county jails within the state or city jails that they got their time at, they end up coming through this one place. Now, for me, it was MRDCC. That's the Maryland Reception Diagnostic Classification Center. I'll never forget it because it was kind of my first taste of the actual state prison system. You're getting dropped off from county life that you know and are used to, some of the friends you've made in there, and you kind of get a routine going. And not too many people want to stay in that routine if you have to do time. You want to get to the state prisons because you're going to have more movement. You're going to have more classes available to you. Some people have trade programs, educational classes. There's just a lot more to do. You got weights, you have more privileges. I mean, prison sucks, but it's better than the county jail because they know that you're going to be there for a long time, most likely. If you're going to be there for a long time, they don't want a bunch of problems out of people, so they try to give you basic creature comforts. You know, little things, just small stuff. You can have a fan in there. You can have a TV in your cell. You can't do those things in the county jail. But before you can get there, you have to go through the prison intake system. Like I said, for me, it was MRDCC, and that's in Baltimore. It's a really, really nasty place. So when I finally get to the place, I'm looking at 21 years. I'm 21 years old. I've got a 21-year sentence that I've got to pull off, and it doesn't look fun. So I'm weighing out my options as well. I'm like, man, I hope I can get into a place that's got some movement, that's got some great trade schools. I'd like to spend my time doing that. And there's a few options throughout the system. I think that there's about 20 prisons. Don't quote me on that number exactly. It's somewhere right around 20 state prisons in Maryland. So you could go anywhere. You could end up at most of those places depending on what your classification level is. They classify you by the nature of your crime. Have you been there before? What else do they the nature of your crime, what you've been there before or not. Was it violent? Is it, because these things all fall differently. Say if it's a violent versus a non-violent charge, you get time shaved off immediately walking through the door. It's like 2 months per year automatically for violent charges. And if it's a non-violent charge, it's somewhere around 4 months per year. So you can add that with your good time. So say you're going in there with 20 years and it's a violent charge. They take 2 months off per year time, so that's 40 months. So you're getting about, 3.5 years shaved off your sentence. This is how they determine your mandatory time. So if you get 3.5 years off of 20, for example, you're looking at around 16.5 years as your mandatory. That means if you go in, you do not work, you don't get a kitchen job, you don't do anything of that sort, you'll do about 16.5. But once you start to work within the system, they give you good time. So that adds up, it accrues to your total time off, and you can shave your sentence down by staying out of trouble and just staying busy. I mean, you could be sweeping the floors for quick sweep, or you could be out there working in the kitchen, commissary, working maintenance shop. There's a lot of different things that you could do. There's teachers' aides, guys that were educated can go in there and helped other people to get their GEDs. So with all this in mind, you're going through and you're being classified, and they try to keep people that are extraordinarily violent and have a whole bunch of time away from people that have 6 months, 18 months. Because those guys that have a whole bunch of time can go in and do some reckless stuff, and because they don't want to see other people leave a lot. They'll come in there and really try to jam you up by testing you, pushing you to see if you'll react, respond, if you'll get into altercations. Misery loves company. And that's so true in prison. They love company. The miserable people in there just don't want to see you do better. They could care less. So for these reasons, I think in their grand wisdom, the DOC understands as well, these are problems. People, 6-monther should not be in there with someone with life. Hence, prison intake. So when you go in, they do your fingerprints, they do all your vitals, height, weight, sex, nationality, all these things. They go through that. They take some blood. They check to make sure that you don't have HIV. I mean, they test for a lot of this stuff, particularly in Maryland, where intravenous drug use in Baltimore is it's almost like a national epidemic. It's one of the worst places in the country for heroin. So this is a major thing that they have to consider. So after you do a lot of your vitals, you do a lot of your just basic little stuff, the little paperwork, you're going to be there for a couple of weeks at least. Now the accommodations at the prison intake center, they're not that great. I think you get a shower maybe every other day, and I can't even speak for that to be 100% true. It's been a long time since I've been through there, but I think it was every other day or even almost every 3 days where we were coming out and getting a shower, and it wasn't that long. So anyway, I'm coming through, and I do a lot of my basic input or intake requirement stuff, where do you live, are you going here, this and that. I did not want to be in certain jails, and I was really keeping my fingers crossed that I could get into some of the better ones because of the opportunity to make your time go by faster. When you're looking at 21 years, like I did, that I didn't do every day of that, but when you're looking at a 21-year sentence, you're trying to make those 21 years as smooth as humanly possible. No one wants to go in and have an outrageously stupid time, and the people that do, you can smell them, and you just stay away from them, man. Unless you're built like that and you're just a hardhead, man, have fun. I wasn't trying to live like that in there. I had too much time hanging over my head, and I said, you know what, let's just try to make this better. So I ended up getting classified, and it took several weeks to get me figured out to where I was going, and they decided to send me all the way up into the mountains, which I didn't have a problem with. It wasn't exactly where I wanted to go, but it was still a pretty decent spot. So the facility that I got to, excuse me, the average time per inmate was somewhere around 22 years. So I'm walking in with 21, and I'm just like, holy cow, man, this is kind of the deep end of the pool, so to speak. But a good thing about that is a lot of these other people are feeling the same way. They got a lot of time to do, so they are trying to do it as smoothly and have as much control over it as possible. So anyway, my first night in prison intake, I was coming through, and they classify you with all this and that, every parameter that they look at that you're not even aware of. They give you some of your property, you're going in, and they say, here's your mattress. It's a little mattress they give you, something real small and crappy. It's just this piece of plastic with who knows what's in there. It ain't comfortable. Overpopulation in this place was a major reality. So it's hard to get a bed. So where did they take us? The very first night, I go off, and I met a couple guys on the bus that we came up with, and ended up befriending, and we're all just trying to just cut it up and just joke, laugh a little bit, make the situation less tense. So they put us in the gym, all of us. It's just overflow. The gym, I don't even think they ever used it for years because it was overflow. So you go in there, and here's your mattress, here's your sheet. So, all right, I guess I'm sleeping on the gym floor tonight. Let me go and put my sheets on my bunk, do my thing, and maybe I'll start playing some cards here. Maybe somebody's got a deck or some dice or something. Anything, man, just to make the time go by faster. It's very slow time in there. Very slow time. So I'm putting my bunk together on the ground, my bunk. I'm putting this mattress together on the ground, and I'm about halfway done, and I get a call. They yell for me across the gym, the COs. I was like, what? what did I do now? I didn't even do nothing. They said, what are you doing here? I said, making my bunk. I said, why are you here? I was like, because you put me here. Because you're supposed to be up top. What does that mean? They say anybody with more than 20 years automatically gets a bunk the first night. That's the first bit of silver lining I've heard about this 20-year plus bit that I'm doing. So happily, I grabbed my stuff and I said, okay, here we go. Let's go on up top. Said goodbye to a couple of my buddies I met in there. And I said, take care. I'll see y'all. I'm going to get a bunk. So they're laughing because I'm taking it kind of, on a chin a little bit. Because what can you do? I mean, seriously. You got to make the best out of a bad situation. This is what I tried to do. So I go up to this top floor, and they put me on the top tier of the top floor, and I end up getting the top bunk there. So I'm as high up as you can be in this building in downtown Baltimore, and it was pretty surreal because when you go in, it's not like a traditional cell. It's a steel door that they shut, and there's just a little peephole that you can kind of look out of, not too big. You can see people coming in now, and that's when guards will look in to make sure when they do their count that you're there. So I go in, I'm a little bit nervous, I open the door up, there's a guy in there. I'm not going to use any names, but he was a very good guy. I ended up becoming friends with him, and we played cards all day long. We played pinochle. He would tell me about prison because it wasn't his first time, and he was pretty good at pinochle. I beat him maybe a third of the time. But he was a good guy. He ended up hipping me to a lot of things about prison life, about what to expect. And when he knew where I was going, he goes, oh, okay, you'll actually probably like that because it's, from what I hear, is a very clean prison. It's very clean and you can do your time and relax and you don't have to go in there like a gladiator right off the bat. Which is nice, I guess. I don't want to live like this every day. I don't want to be in prison. But I'm here trying to make the best of it. So, this guy taught me a lot. I was there with him for a while. We'd share books because they were hard to get. There's no library access. They didn't come around with carts like in the Shawshank Redemption or any of that stuff. I mean, this is slow time. They bring the food to your cell. And they pass it to you and you eat in there. And then you put the trays out when you're done. I mean, it was disgusting. The food was nasty. It was some of the worst in the system. I mean, I'd probably rather eat roadkill. Ugh. So, he ends up moving out, and I get another cell buddy in there. And this was one giant dude. When he came in to the cell, I was a little bit nervous, but I realized you cannot show these guys this. So he walked in the door, and he literally... head up under the door frame, comes in, stands up, and he just kind of looked at me, and I was just like, well, damn, you are big. And he just started laughing. He loved it. So we played pinochle, became a good friend of mine, and I didn't see him anymore past that in there, but he was a real good dude. Gave me a big old giant hug when I left. I was like, man, prison, this is nice. I haven't seen anybody stabbed or had to stab anybody yet, man. I guess it's not as much as the movies talk about. Most people are trying to chill. So we played cards. We did all this and that. Real good guy. Taught me a lot of stuff as well because he'd been through before. He knew I was young. And he said, hey, man, do this, watch out for trouble. Do this, watch out for trouble. Don't do this. Don't do that. You'll be fine. Just get in with a decent group of guys. You'll be all right. So from there, when they do come to get everybody to that particular jail that you're going to, you all get loaded up, called out from your different floors, and I ended up seeing some of the guys from the gym, and we went to the same jail, which was helpful because I knew somebody I talked to in the van. Now, from there, it was another 4 hours to the prison I was going to, but that's a whole nother story. So, if you guys would like to hear more about that, I'd love to tell you. Just keep watching out for the videos. I'll drop another one on that soon, but right now, this prison intake was one of the worst places that you could actually go to. It was terrible. You ended up having to do your own laundry, and you got to do it in the toilet. It's pretty messed up. And once you get used to this fact, it's more helpful to do your time once you're acceptant of some of the things that are happening around you. You can't change reality sometimes, as unfortunate as this is. But prison intake is one of the slowest places that you'll go to, but it's necessary because it keeps people filtered out from being separated, like I said, lifers with 6-monthers in the same cell. That lifer, you might just look at him wrong and you're in an altercation that you can't get out of. So they try to avoid a lot of that, and they do a pretty decent job for the most part. But the facility itself, it sucks. It's the worst. Hope you have a book when you come in, and I mean, you're just gonna have a hard time. So if you can get yourself a bag of coffee, that'll probably get you through. That and a deck of playing cards. Well, that's all I have for right now about the prison intake system, MRDCC. Talk soon.